Good afternoon. Brian Farr, VP Stock Analytics with Stock Dads. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, January the 23rd. A mixed bag today. 2 up, 2 down. QQQ closes green, up 0.4%. The S&P is also closing green. Dow closes red. IWM a little shaky today after a good day yesterday. Crude oil seems to be pretty content where it's at. But some resiliency today, even as yields continue to move higher. The stocks seem to shake things off as we get into more of a heated earnings data and as we approach important key economic data such as the GDP and PCE later on this week. Also, China stimulus package incoming. Baba, Baidu, they all get a nice little move today, so we'll take a look at that. Key earnings from Procter & Gamble this morning sends consumer staple names higher. You also have Netflix earnings after the bell, and so far the reaction as of this recording is pretty positive. We'll also go over some setups that I am looking at, as well as any plays that I shamelessly got into today. I definitely got chopped around today, so yeah, can't win them all, I guess, but it is what it is. And yeah, some new setups in Bert B that we took on today. Let's get into it. Lots to unpack here. This is your Daily Squeeze. All right, let's go ahead and jump into a few things here. Looking at the intraday charts here for the SPY, the SPY, we can see that we were pretty much stuck in this range market between 484.38 and 482. Pretty much stable despite rates being up, the dollar being higher. Yeah, but stocks, we just continue to power on ahead. We eventually broke out of that lull of the day. We did start the day out with a little bit of a fade, only to recover and close into positive territory. And as of right now, we are still moving higher on Netflix earnings. So we definitely want to keep a close eye on that. And we'll jump into that in just a second. But one of the bigger news today comes out of a report suggesting that China is looking at adding a stimulus package for their stock market. Basically, policymakers are looking at bringing in $278 billion from offshore accounts to pretty much prop up Chinese stocks here. And the MCHI, this is your iShares China ETF. It's not a pretty stock by any means, down 12% on the year and even approaching the October lows from last year. And, why has China been so difficult and hard to trade? And it's because China has constantly been hit with downbeat economic data. We also have the property crisis going on there. And also with the COVID-19 deaths being reported, I believe the latest numbers was about 11 million. And we probably won't even know the truth at how big or how bad it was over there, to be honest. But yeah, just in general, China's been a tough trade, but it's also, Beijing has done very little to stabilize everything. So there is that also. And we don't even know if this stimulus package is even big enough to really stabilize things. So even if they do this stimulus package, is it going to be enough? And that is definitely a key question to be asking here. And not to mention, because of Beijing's failure to act, it definitely gives questions on the long-term growth factor for China stocks. But needless to say, China names are definitely getting a big boost off of that economic stimulus package. Baba up 7.85%, or close to 6 points. Up about 5.5 points. Baidu also up nice 7.5% here. We ended up going short on this name. Was about 2 weeks ago, last week. NetEase also a big benefactor here. Just in general, just any China name getting a nice little push higher here. And like I said, is this going to be enough? Is this going to be a turnaround for China? We just don't know yet. but it is a news event regardless. And yeah, off they go. All right, let's get into a few other market moving names here. Verizon, big mover within the S&P 500, up nearly 7%. Solid performance out of its Q4, inline EPS of $1.08, but a drop from the 119 from a year prior of the same quarter. Revenues of 35.1 billion, topping the estimates, but again, still all from last year's numbers. But why the big move today in the stock? Well, it's simply put the subscriber count. Net additions of about 449,000, whereas the estimate was about 231,000. So a big uptick there in subscriber count for Verizon. The CFO attributes the My Plan to the big uptick there. And they also raised its fiscal guidance of $4.50 to $4.70, slightly above the expectations of $4.60. So a nice little move here from Verizon. Verizon has been the outperformer in the telecommunications sector, up about 3.7% of the year, whereas if you look at its competitor AT&T has been more of a struggle and a laggard, down 11% over the past 12 months. In other news, though, you also have earnings from DHI, worst day in about 4 years, down 9% on its mixed quarterly results. Maybe some profit taking too. DHI has been basically been on a straight uptick for a while now. But yeah, they did report an earnings per share of $2.82 versus $2.87, and revenues of $7.73 billion on an estimate of $7.55 billion. The chairman notes that the supply of both new and existing homes at affordable price points remain limited. But they did raise their 2024 guidance, so it will be an interesting year for DHI and really the home builders in general, with mortgage rates possibly coming down, and we'll see if supply can pick up. So there is that as well. In other news with earnings, let's take a look at Netflix, who is currently higher in the post-market earnings. Good, solid report so far. We'll see if the conference call adds any new questions, or if it continues to shape things up here. But adjusted EPS of $2.11 versus $2.20, that is a slight miss, but their revenues $8.83 billion, beating $8.72 billion. We did get some early news this morning stating that Netflix is bringing in WWE for streaming in January of 2025. So if you like wrestling, yeah, you're going to have to get a Netflix subscription in order to watch WWE. They added 13.12 million subscribers, and it plans on broadening its offerings, including live events like we've seen with the WWE, and they're also looking at adding gaming and sporting events to their subscription services. So all in all, a nice little number. We'll see how well those meet up to some of the expectations with the earnings calls, and we'll kind of keep an eye on this. But so far, a nice report here for Netflix. This is part of the Magnificent Seven. We'll see how well this continues to hold up for the NASDAQ going into tomorrow. All right. That is the earnings portion of this segment. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the setups that I am looking at. Earlier today, we took a position in Berk B. If that'll load up, Berkshire B had a nice breakout above 369.37. We're looking for a move up to new lifetime highs above 373.34. We actually already hit $100 on the contract. We got in at $595. We hit a high of about $7 on those contracts. So looking pretty good here for Berkshire. Good setup. One setup that I am definitely keeping an eye on is Snowflake. Snow breaking out of this about 20-point consolidation here between 200 and 180. Did close or did hit a high of 206 there. And one of the key things that I definitely want to keep an eye on, I didn't get into a swing trade here, but I was definitely tempted. But one thing that I definitely got to keep an eye on here is ServiceNow, ticker symbol NOW. Now has earnings after the bell, now is at lifetime highs as well. We'll see what their earnings report does, but that could definitely shape things up for Snowflake in general. But this could be a nice little day trade tomorrow if we get some follow through on big tech for sure. So I definitely want to keep an eye on Snow. Berkshire B, of course. Lulu is an interesting one. It is pulled down back into this key support level at about 467.63. For now, we are holding above the daily 50 simple moving average, but holding where support needs to hold. This was a breakout level on its earnings report back in December, and so far we are holding. So as long as support holds up, you could be a nice little long trade here on Lulu. McDonald's, continues to hold above its prior lifetime highs at about the 300 mark. She did close at 300, did hit a high of 302 yesterday. But yeah, if you're looking for a safety name, could be interesting. They do have earnings coming up in a few weeks. You just want to be mindful of that. But overall, yeah, these are the setups that we are keeping an eye on the next few days. But yeah, as far as our watch list goes today, we're looking at Berkshire. We're also keeping an eye on Disney to see if there was any kind of follow through. We did take a swing trade on Disney. Myself and a few of the other analysts also had swings on Disney. Looks like I'm already out, but looks like some of those guys are already, still looking for a higher movement here. And we'll see if how the Netflix earnings affect Disney. DWAC, definitely can be a pretty wild one. And as you can see, broke above our key level of 52.39, very volatile, hit our target of 58.60. We're still keeping an eye on Pepsi. I do have a swing short position on Pepsi, but if we do get a daily close above 168, then that'll stop me out. Consumer staples had a nice little run thanks to Procter and Gamble earnings. Procter and Gamble had a pretty good earnings report there if you want to take a look at that. But Procter and Gamble is the largest holding within the XLP, and that dragged everybody else up with it. And the consumer staples did lead the way today, up 1.09%. So we'll have to keep an eye on Pepsi if there's any follow through tomorrow. But I definitely want to see this thing break down below 164. All right. All in all, a pretty good day. My day trades, they took a little bit of a hit. I had to sit on my hands after the second failed day trade. I took SPY longs that didn't work out. I took Q shorts, didn't work out at all. So got a little bit chopped up there and decided, you know what, I don't have a good read on this. I just need to sit down. The market at the time was very choppy, so it was a little bit sloppy on my end. But tomorrow's a new day. We'll get back at it for sure. Yeah, overall, good day. Interesting report there from Netflix. We'll see if she can hold up through the conference call here in just a little bit. Once again, my name is Brian Farr, VP of Stock Analytics here with Stock Dads. Be sure to check us out at stockdads.com. Check us out on Facebook, any kind of social media, TikTok, etc., etc. You know the drill. All right, that was a lot to unpack. I appreciate you sticking with me there. Y'all have a good afternoon or evening, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.